Hello, welcome to my channel, The Spiritual Craft. So as a bonus to my journal series, I decided to end it with a video on making a journal. So I'm going to show you how I make a journal using just a paper cover. So this is scrapbook pages, two-sided. When I put it in the book, I have to make sure it's in this direction. These are some sheets of tea-stained paper. So I used chamomile tea and some jasmine flowers, little buds. And you can kind of tell that I have two different kinds. So this was a newsprint. I made these ones a little bit smaller. Started as a newsprint. So it was kind of already a little off-white, but in some of them you can see several flower petals still left on it. This, I think, gives a better idea of what it will come out like if you use just a regular white paper. So this is just plain white printer paper. I really didn't actually, I think I had already arranged them the way that I want them, unfortunately, because now I unarranged them. I also did have to flatten them because when you make your tea stain paper or even like coffee dyed paper, the paper soaks up a lot of moisture, and I could flatten them longer, but I don't mind them like this. I kind of like that a little bit. These ones flattened for a little longer, and so you can probably tell that this was a thinner paper that I started with, and so it did soak up more of the water, and you can see that quite a bit in the wrinkles of the page. This one's a pretty good flattened one. Is that a timer? Alexa, stop the timer. She lied. She told me there was no timer set. So this is the side that I want on the outside. So this is going to be the cover and the back page, so that when you open it, and I can use one of these smaller pages for now, that'll be your inside cover. So this is the journal that I'm making for a friend. So it's gonna look, it will look a little bit different than the journals that I've made for myself. A little less of the witchy aesthetic, but flowers are perfectly fine. So I probably will have a lot of pastels, pinks and purples, and just kind of flowery stuff. So these are some of the cards that I got from that same pack, you can probably tell. And so these are some of the ones that I'm going to put inside. I can actually make smaller booklets out of, I'm not going to, but you've seen that I have. I can make smaller booklets out of some of these cards and just make really small, cute ones. So this one is about, I would say, 5 by 7. I didn't specifically make it that size. That's just kind of what happened. So the size isn't particularly important. You can make really tiny journals using something like this. You can make them even smaller using something like this. Or you can make them really large. I think I really like this size because it fits the paper that I have. So when I was making the paper, I had a fairly small container to soak the paper in. And so I had to make the pages fairly small, which means the book has to be fairly small. So I think that worked out. And then as you can see, I have some of my tools that I'm going to be using over here. This is just an assortment of things that I can look through for paper crafts. So I can take some more out of these. I have some flowers, and somewhere in here I have some butterflies. So I'll likely be taking from that to put into the journal. I wouldn't say that all of these are necessities. I just kind of pulled out what I thought I might need. In previous books, I used the hole punch so that I can add charms on some of the little bookmarks. So I might do that. You can tell these would tie those little leaves if I decide I want to tie some leaves in. This is a little more necessary just for this book, I suppose. I've made plenty of books where I've just glued in the pages, taped in the pages, and really that's what I've been doing for my bullet journals for the most part, because it's just quick. Actually, I might start I might start sewing them again because taping's not as quick as I would like it to be. But I'm planning on sewing this one in with some elastic like I had on my first bullet journal. So this is the elastic I'm going to have with this cover. I think I like that. And then I did get, just from the dollar store, a couple of these little pokers. Because the first time I did this, I had to poke the holes. In previous journals that you've seen, I've had to just kind of poke the holes with a knife. And they came out pretty messy. So I'm hoping this one will look a little bit better because I actually have a poker. If you don't have a poker, that's totally fine. You can use anything that pokes, really. And some washi tape. Scissors, again, I may or may not need. I'm going to try to not have to waste any of my paper. I'm just going to try to make it fit in there as best I can. And glue is probably a necessity. Glue or tape. I just have the cheapest glue you can buy. Glue or tape for some of these little things. So if you want pockets or bookmarks, I guess you don't need to glue bookmarks, but pockets, I do like to include a lot of pockets, and so I'm going to be taping and gluing. I had these really large envelopes that I haven't used, so I wanted to use maybe a couple of these. The friend that I'm making this for writes quite a bit. She likes kind of like the pen pal thing, and so I thought the envelope might add a little something. And this one, I have seen a couple of journal crafts out of just plain envelopes. I think it's on, if I remember correctly, it's from Treasure Books. So I'm going to try to make a couple things out of these two envelopes, again, to go with her type of, her kind of pen pal style. And lastly, I have just a book of postcards. I honestly don't remember where I got this, but I love it. It's called Sisterhood, and basically it has a lot of these just postcards dealing with sisterhood. So I think I'm going to take, Alexa, stop. So I'm probably going to take a friend, I really like this one. I'm probably, what did I say? I'm probably going to take a few of these to put in to the journal. Sarah Cray, really beautiful. All right. So let's start journaling. All right, so first things first, you want to organize your pages in the way that you want them. And so I did organize them. That's my front. This is my front page. And so now it's not just the same page over and over. There's some variety in here. So you can tell I have different sizes. They're slightly different colors. And this is going to fit into the cover. So again, make sure if your paper cover is a one-directional page, that it's in the right direction. So that should fit. Ooh, one of my pages is sticking out. That should fit in there fairly nicely. I can get it a little further, I think. And then, of course, if you need to, you can cut off any extra that you have sticking out of the book, which I might end up doing because this page is sticking out a bit more than I would. Oh, I see what's happening. Okay, so that works pretty nicely. So first things, you're organizing your pages. You don't want to stick them in right away because, again, I want to create pockets and just different little areas in here where I can stash some things. I did also decide that I want to use this ribbon as kind of a binding. It's not really what's going to be binding it, but it's, I'm going to have it back here and it'll wrap around. I'm going to have to glue it, so hopefully this ribbon glues fairly well, but it should look something like that. And then again, I'm going to use that pink, where did it go, elastic to wrap around the front. I did also find this pink ribbon, and look, they're so similar. Another option is just to string it with the ribbon through the center and have it to where you poke the hole in the middle of the ribbon and it extends on both sides, and then you can tie it on the outside. So I kind of like that as well. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do yet. If I do that, I wouldn't be sewing the whole book with the elastic because it would create bigger holes than I need. I could probably use some of the thread that I have in here. But again, I haven't decided. So let's, decided I didn't want to flip all the way through the journal because I do want to use these postcards for my sisters. So I don't want them to see them all. So these are some of the ones that I have selected. Just really beautiful quotes. And I think that they all go together fairly nicely. So most of them are the white, but again, I have some of these kind of more tan colors, so I think that that goes well enough. Okay. And remember I said I'm going to be using the envelopes. I did watch a couple videos on how I'm going to do those. So these are going to be decorated, they're going to be folded, they're going to be glued, and they are going to create pockets that will go into the journal. So let's see what we can do here. So I have the pages in there. I want to go through and see maybe where the pockets would go. So for example, if you have some of these like half pages, notice that this one kind of creates a half page, but I like that it has that flower petal on there, so I don't want to contain it. This, as you can tell, I kind of created a fold there, so that can become just a small pocket. I will do something with that page, but I'm not certain. This is another, because it's short, you could glue it to one or the other, and it can, I think I actually want to glue it to this one. And it will create another little tuck spot there, so you could put things in there. In fact, I'm going to do that one right now. And so if you're just gluing pages like I am right now, you could put the pages into the book before you do this and actually sew them or glue them in, however you're planning on doing that. I like to do it beforehand because I am going to add in things like the envelopes, and I might want to sew that in with it. So I have made a journal where I did all the pages and had everything how I wanted, and I sewed it in, and then I realized that I needed to add more. And it was so difficult to add more after I had already sewn it. So I don't want to make that mistake again. See, this is another good little, actually I kind of like it as a tag that's sticking out. Currently just looking for where I want to put pockets. That would make a great pocket. So this one I kind of like. So one problem with these is that the paper's super fragile. It might tear super easily as a pocket. But if I just glue the bottom like that, it's a nice open pocket, so you can put things in the top or in the side. And I know I don't have too many pockets yet, but trust me, they will appear. I really like those flower petals there. This is another, it's super torn, and so I might want to make something out of that. Could maybe glue these two, then you won't see that pocket. Let's do this. I'm just going to swap those. So I can glue, how do I want to do that? I don't like that better. Okay, I've got an idea. I already folded that one down, so what would this look like? If I fold this down here, and I fold that one down the other way, and then I sew it up, and I'll have a little pocket on the inside. Sew it. I'm not doing any sewing today. I actually don't own a sewing machine, so that's not my go-to method. I'm sure it makes some things easier, and if you have a sewing machine, feel free to sew some of this together. But I like my handy-dandy glue. Ooh, well, those didn't come out totally even, but they're not totally uneven. Yeah, I like that, I think. So I think I want to make this a pocket as well, and maybe even a little envelope because I like that this overhangs, and so I think it would look nice if I fold it over. Oh, I got a flower petal on my glue from that page. I'll just stick it back on there with some glue. We'll see how that does. Flower petal. Okay, so I've created kind of an envelope there, so it should be glued on both sides. If I glued it well enough, looks good. I'm just going to fold that over and make it a cute little envelope so that you can open it and get into that pocket. Okay. Have this one, and then this is the very last page. All right, so I think I'm gonna set this aside for now. So what I do wanna do now is create the 2 envelopes that I'm gonna be using. I think I'm going to use one of these as well. So this doesn't fit in here quite as nicely as I'd hoped. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is fold it in half. So let's get the crease here. Somewhere in the middle. And this is just so that I don't have to measure anything. It makes my life a little bit easier. All right, so folded my envelope in half. Wow, it's a little crooked. Let's fold it a bit better. And then because it's a pocket and I'm going to want it to open, I'm just going to cut this section here so that it can, I'm going to sew it in. So it's going to be in 2 different places. Right, so let's say you might want it just in the front, but let's just say I throw it in here. Oh, something's glued. Let's just say I throw it in here. Okay, so then when I get to that page, I can open it from either side. Oh, I might need to even make it thinner. And that's a cute little pocket. Yeah, I am going to make it a bit thinner. And so if I want to, I can put a second one of these in there, and I could maybe put it in a different way. So right now I'm kind of just testing to see how everything's gonna work in there. And that does take a little bit of time, so there is some planning that goes into it if you want to make sure that it has pockets and all of those things. If you don't really care about the pockets, you could skip a lot of this work. I love pockets and just kind of places where you can hide little things or put little bookmark type things. So I definitely want those in my journal, and I have to plan ahead to see where they will work best. All right, so that should actually open now from both sides. I think I also want to cut this because I don't like that it's in the way when I open it. Not perfect, but that should do. Yeah, you can't even tell. That one I'll leave. I'll see which I like better. So there's one. I'm not going to do a whole lot of decorating on this one. I can slip a card in there or something like that. It looks fine as is. So I want to work on these two. So you can kind of tell that I've already decided where I'm going to put the folds here. So this one will fold up like so. There's a pocket on the right, so it'll be in the book like this. Pocket on the right so that you can see something through the window. Okay, so I think I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do with both of these journals, or both of these envelopes, to include them in the journal. I've kind of laid out what I can do with this one, so this is kind of what this one's gonna look like. These are all the pieces for this one. So let's get this stuff on these journals. So handy dandy glue stick. For the most part, I'm just gonna be gluing. I don't want to sew. I don't have a sewing machine, so I'm gonna do what I can with the glue. I really like the back of that though. Fortunately, I have to glue it anyway. Alright, so I want to make it clear that this is a pocket, so I'm going to put a little edge on it there. And that kind of reinforces it too, so when it is used as a pocket, it has this nice strong piece of paper rather than just the flimsy envelope. So step 1. Step 2 is gluing on some of this ribbon, but I actually don't want to use, that's the one for the spine of my book. So I'm going to cut off an appropriately sized length of ribbon. And so you could tell I'm sticking that flower right there. So the main goal with these envelopes is just to cover up all of the things that you don't want to be seen. All right, so anywhere that you see that ink, unless you like it for some reason, you want to cover it up. You'll notice this is kind of a 3-dimensional flower I have here, so it is going to stick up off the page. Actually, I notice I can see behind it there. It is going to stick up off the page, so I want to make sure that regardless of the angle, you can't see that little barcode, which isn't working out terribly well for me. So let's just stick down the back. I'm gonna have to maybe smash it. I'm gonna set something on top of it and let it sit like that while I get, that'll work, while I get my ribbon ready. I'm gonna put this cute little flower on the front next to my ribbon. So I just want to cover the place stamp here with some ribbon. It doesn't need to be very long because it's really only, unless I want to put it, that might look nice actually. I'm going to cut kind of a long-ish piece in case I do want to make it longer. Alright, so I've glued everything on there. I'm sorry my video cut off, so you didn't get to see me glue. Ooh, I realized I've done something I shouldn't have done, which is I made the pocket open here rather than here, but then I sealed it with that flower. What do I want to do about that? Maybe nothing. I guess that's okay. I can't use the top. I can still use behind here. I can still use this inner pocket. And I can still use the big pocket. This has to be kind of right in the right place for it to look nice. So I did do something a little like I shouldn't have done there. So be very careful with your pockets. If you're trying to make a journal and you're trying to do the pockets, make sure you don't like glue them closed, because that's not conducive to good pockets. So there's one envelope that will go in, and it creates several little tuck spots. So pretty cute. Now let's hope the video doesn't cut off and I will actually make this one with you on the video. It's gonna go upside down like this, which means that I actually need to cut the pocket into it so that it can open and be used as a pocket. And I'm just cutting like the tiniest strip off. So now there's a pocket on the bottom, but there's also these two pockets that are created by the flap. So nothing can actually fall out of the bottom. Now I have the task of covering up all of these little areas. And so these are kind of the scraps that I'm planning on using to do that. So I do have another little flower, have some pink lace that I think I want to use on this one. And I think what I'm gonna do is just put it around the top. I think I like that. So I'm going to glue that down first and hope that it sticks. I have not glued this particular lace. Some of the ones that I have glue really well, some do not. So I'm going to try to put enough that I can stick not only the top line, but a lot of the bottom frilly stuff. This way. Looks like this would be the front. I want to get it right on that top line. Hopefully my glue didn't dry already. Alright, so there's that. Now I have to cover all of this bottom area. Set that one up there for inspiration. Okay, so I have this little hello, which I think I was going to put in the corner perhaps, unless I was going to use it to cover that. I think I was. I like that. Okay, so this one is the flower. I'm just gonna glue that little flower there. Actually, I was gonna put something underneath it, and I think it was this. So I'm gonna glue that down, and then I'm gonna put the flower. I like those together. And it appears to be just the right width to cover up that I don't want to see. So I want to make sure that it does cover that. And right at the bottom here. And if I leave enough, just the tiniest bit of space, I can actually tuck a card in here. Just a tiny bit of space there. And glue my flower down. I'm going to do this a little bit differently this time. Right on the butt of the flower. And smash it down. This might have been the wrong flower, but it's totally fine. I think this might have been the flower that I wanted to use for the cover, but there are others. It'll work out just fine. All right. So remember again that these are going to be in two different places, so these don't necessarily have to match. You can think of it as being split this way. So they will be two different pockets. That would make a nice little pocket. Or I can make it a little more centered. I think I will use this. It gives some blank space, but that's okay because if I'm going to put something in that pocket, I don't want it to be covering up anything. Alright, I'll glue that right on there. And again, we'll be on two separate pages, so it's okay if it looks a little weird now. It'll look fine when it's glued in there. So to make sure that that's a pocket, I'm just going to glue around the edges, like so. And I'm going to do the same thing on here, just for added support. Alright, glue that down. And so that should make a pretty large little pocket there. Ooh, and I do have some excess on the end that I can just cut off. It's no biggie. So the back very much still looks like an envelope. I mean, so does the front. Who am I kidding? But that's okay. This one, I thought it would be cute if I actually put something in the pocket. So I think what I'm going to put in that pocket... Remember I said I dyed the paper with chamomile? So I used chamomile tea and I cut up the bags because I thought this was super cute. And, you know, I didn't want to waste. So I'm going to use some of these smaller bits. And I'm just going to glue them on the inside. I think that'll look nice. I hope it does. And if it doesn't, well then, too bad. So sad. And I just want to put enough glue because it's plastic and it's curled. So it will likely want to peel up. And I want it to not do that. Oh, kind of cute. Starting to see those pretty little yellow flowers. And I'm just going to hope that this sticks. It might not, and if it doesn't, well, it was plastic, so I'm not surprised. But I'm just going to hope that it does. Alright, so there is my pocket. Alright, I'm going to start working on the back, so I'm just going to do that. What do I want to do here? So I did want to put my little hello up in the corner. I have these, but I think I do want to use them like this. Again, to make sure that those pockets are really clear. Or I can do something like this and put them at the top. So like, hello. What do I want to do? Maybe a little bit of lace and stick it out like that. That's kind of cute. I think I'll do that. And cut off a little because it's still sticking out. So I'm going to glue this down on the back. Okay, you go down. And then on top of that, I'm going to glue the hello. Please stick. Where did I put it? Oh, I've made a mess. Here it is. It's kind of cute. Sticks up top and bottom. So now I need to get that the rest of the way down. And I thought about making it like a corner pocket, but now that I have the ribbon back there, I think it might be a little too much, so I'm not going to make anything out of that. I'm just going to glue it down. Cute. Hello. I can tell it's not wanting to glue, probably because there's lace underneath it, but I'm gonna hope it glues. Okay. So then I can do my pockets. How do I want to do these? I really like that. I kind of like that. Same thing with these two. They will be on 2 separate pages, so I'm not terribly picky. I'm not trying to make them look exactly the same or anything like that. So they probably will be 2 different themes so that I can get some variety in here. Just about. Trying to make them straight. I'm kind of a messy crafter if you can't tell. Alright, so again, I am going to, just like I did accidentally on the other page, I'm going to glue this over the part that folds, and I'm going to hope it doesn't create a huge problem. It should be fine. Because the rest of the pocket can still open, and so I can stick things in here as well. Hold all that down. Okay, so on this one, I think I might actually like it to come out this way. So notice that when I fold it, that's on a different side, so this is still its own side over here. Kind of like that. It's obviously sticking out quite a bit. I might want to put a flower on the corner or something like that. Let's see. But I definitely want to keep this pocket open, so that is my goal here. I just don't like that it doesn't come all the way up to the top. I could make it a top, or even a side. It would look huge. But I'd put it like that. Kind of like that. Yeah. But I'll turn it over. What does that look like? So I'm going to glue this behind, just like that. And so the pocket will fold over it, which is totally okay. And I'm just going to cut off the rest of that lace once it's dry. I don't think I want it to stick around on the side like it did on the other. Once it's dry, that would be now. Because I don't like that I can see it there sticking out. There we go. Okay, so there's a little something. Make sure not to glue the pocket closed. I might accidentally glue the pocket closed, but I'm going to try not to. Maybe one more thing. I think that would be super cute, so I'm going to add that there. I got this idea from Natasha. Her channel is called Treasure Books. I have watched a lot of her journaling videos. She likes to do junk journals. And I've gotten a lot of my ideas from her. And others, of course. She's not the only one, but I really love her channel. So mine do look a little bit different, I think, than hers. She used a lot more scraps and kind of, she likes to do a lot of this, what do you call this? I don't know the word for it, but she uses a lot of book pages, and I tend to not like to tear up my books, so I'm not going to waste my beautiful book pages on a journal. But preference, it's all preference. This is fragile. It's kind of fragile. So I'm trying not to cut it to where it'll tear and lose and start getting all fringy. I kind of like that it hangs off like that. I think I'm gonna leave it that way. I'll just, oh look. What do I do about that? Ignore it? Can I do it? Can I ignore it? I don't think I can. Just glue some little ribbon over it. That's not bad. It kind of covers it. I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna use a scrap because I don't want to do a whole lot of extra just for this one tiny little spot. And I think you'll still be able to see through it, but I don't care. Covers it just enough to not make a big thing of it. It's kind of cute. You can't really tell what I was covering, so that works. So let's see if I wanted to put a card in here. So these are my 2 envelopes now that I've completed. I don't know that I showed you. Oh, I guess I didn't really complete that one. I think I want to do the pink, like so. And I'm gonna leave it pretty plain, I think. I don't want to do too much on this one either. And I'm just gonna glue it down to the edge. I'm gonna flatten that one piece. I don't want to glue it down because I don't want to compromise the pocket tuck spot. So I'm gonna leave it as is for now. Again, I'll cut off any excess that I have from my pink ribbon. Okay. And maybe one more thing. Kind of like that. I guess that would compromise the pocket, wouldn't it? So I'm going to glue it down just like that, and I'm going to glue it behind the pocket because, again, I don't want to glue down the pocket. So I'm going to glue it right over that purple ribbon. I wonder if I like this side better. I kind of like the blank paper look. I'm gonna do it just as I had it before. Just like that. Alright, and yes, it is pretty plain on this side, but again, I'm pretty okay with that. It doesn't need to be totally done up. Again, I want to leave some room for her to do what she wants to do. Beautiful. I've made a huge mess here. You can't see the extent of the mess, but it's a pretty big mess. I do also have this one that I'm going to put in. I don't think I'll put much decoration on it. I might put a couple little things, like maybe a big bouquet would look nice. So I put it on there the right way, or perhaps a butterfly. That actually looks pretty cute. I'm gonna use that because it's adorable. And so this can actually be used as maybe some note space if she wants to take notes in it. Or leave this space blank and it can be a cover for something inside. Maybe one more on the inside. Which side is the antennas? It's that one. So just like that. Little butterfly. And I'm gonna call these good, because I've spent a lot of time just on all of the little things that I'll stick in. Okay, so first I want to make sure that none of my pages are sticking up. Okay, so now I want to find a good place for all of these inside the journal. So I think this might actually look cute on the front cover, but then it won't be on the inside. So let's see, if I put that there, kind of contains all the pages. I have a front pocket, and then I'll have a cute little butterfly back pocket as well, and then just the back page. So I think I actually really like that, front and back. This one, ooh. So let's find a good spot for this one. That again is glued. I tried that one last time. I think this is the same spot I picked for it last time. I like that. And then this one, so since this one's not going to be sewn in, I actually have to find a place to stick it where it will stay. And I don't, since I did decorate the back, I don't want to glue the back. So I think what I might do is make this a floating pocket, which just means I'm going to find a page to attach it to, but not permanently, and it can be moved around in the journal. So maybe on that one.
Okay, we're gonna do things a little bit differently. My video cut off there for about the 5th time while trying to record this video. So I am in a new setting. You can see I have everything pretty much in there, but it's not sewn together yet. So here I'm just trying to make sure that all of the pages actually fit in the book, kind of making adjustments and just making sure that the creases are really creased so that everything can get all the way in there. And it does take me quite a bit. So let me know what you think of this voiceover part as opposed to slowly going through and making the journal, kind of talking through it. As much as I would have liked to continue to do that, this video would have been about maybe 2 to 2.5 hours long. So this was kind of a necessary adjustment. It does take, I mean, the process does take a little bit, but it also depends on how much you're putting in here. So as you saw, just the 2 envelopes that I've made took, I think, about 40 minutes. So without those kind of really done up additions, it wouldn't have taken quite so long. I didn't mind. I definitely didn't mind the process. You can tell even just this one step trying to get all the pages in there. This is it's one of the most important steps because this is actually building the book. A lot of it's decoration, but this is construction. So it's fitting a lot better here. Okay, so I'm going to start binding the book. Here I'm poking the holes. Again, this is just the poker tool that I got from the dollar store. And it works fairly well. Again, the last one that I had to do like this, I was poking with a knife. And it worked. It definitely made the holes. But this poker tool was so helpful. It made everything a lot easier. And so here I start to, a moment, make sure all my holes are really clear and they go all the way through. I start trying to put on the elastic here. And I tried a couple times. So this is what was going to kind of hold the book closed like I have in one of my bullet journals. But as you can tell, it didn't work quite so well. I did not bring my tools. Again, I was in another location, so I didn't bring my tools, but I ended up sewing it with just regular thread and it worked out perfectly fine. Although you can tell I did have a little bit of trouble with the thread. So working well so far. Generally you do want to start in the middle and go to one side. So I started in the middle, and actually from the inside of the book, so that when you finish it'll be in the middle, in the inside of the book, and you can tie it closed there, which you will see. So started from the middle, and then I went to the top, and then past the middle and go all the way to the bottom. Then when you see the back side here, I think I flip it over. So I did have a little bit of trouble with the needle. It worked a lot better, again, than it had before, but I have so many pages in here, I'm just trying to make sure that it gets through everything. And you can see that my middle string there pulled through, and I was okay with that because I noticed that I forgot to sew in the ribbon on the back. So you'll see me kind of adjust, if you're wondering or thought it was partially an accident, yes, but I forgot to sew in my ribbon. So it kind of worked out. So here I'm actually trying to go back and attach the ribbon, because remember the ribbon is supposed to be on the spine. And there are different ways that I could have done this. So for example, I could have glued the ribbon on first. That might have made it a little bit easier. Or I could have sewn it and glued the ribbon on after the fact so that it would hide the sewing. But this is the way that I did it, and I'm pretty happy with the way that it turned out. I definitely didn't mind that you can see the thread on the outside when I was done. So there, I'm pulling it all the way back through. And again, just trying to make sure that I have all of my pages in there and trying not to poke multiple holes. So when you're sewing it, you just want to make sure that it's nice and tight so that it keeps all your pages in place, but not so tight that you can't open and close the book comfortably. Also, as I've mentioned before, you don't have to sew your journals. I did it for this one, but there are plenty that I've just glued in the pages, and it worked fine. This one had a few too many pages for me to care to glue in. So if you're gluing them, or I mean, you can even tape them, but if you're gluing them, you tend to want to do it kind of one page at a time, and so it's very time consuming, and you just want to glue in the crease. So just in case you are gluing, just want to glue in the crease so that the pages can still open, and just make sure that when you close the book, the pages aren't sticking where they're not supposed to stick. Okay, so here I think I have my ribbon sewn on. This is the final one, and I think this was the most difficult one to get through all the pages. Another way that you could do it is it's I suppose similar to sewing. You can use an elastic thread or string, just like I had before, and tie it or sew it just in one place through the middle, rather than making the 3 holes and actually kind of binding it in a way like I did here. So the elastic is nice because you can put in more than one signature, which is like the pages in the book. So say like 10 pages, for example, could make up a signature, and if you had 3, then you have 3 separate pieces and 30 pages in your book. So what's nice about the elastic is that you could put a signature in, and the elastic is attached to the cover rather than the pages. So you can slip the signature in, it would go into the middle just like this one in the middle. But you can add more than one. For example, you can put 3 lines of elastic and have 3 signatures in there. You can also search on YouTube. There are a lot of journals made that way. Or you can continue to reuse the cover. So if you made a really nice cover and you want to keep that for various projects, you can take out the signature that's, let's say it's full, take out the signature, put in a new one, and continue to reuse your cover. So I think I actually do have one journal like that. I can't remember which one it is. But you do have options when you're making these. So I opted to sew, and I think for this project, this particular project, that was the best option. There, so finally got all of the pages sewn in. Now I'm just gluing down the binding. Notice that I had to kind of, I forgot to put, sew the ribbon in. And so here I'm just kind of gluing it as close as I can to the middle and making sure to put enough glue that it's not going to slip out of place, because this, since I didn't use the elastic, this is what's going to keep my journal closed. And I think I actually like how the ribbon came out a lot more than I would have liked the elastic. I think it's really cute. And it's the first journal that I've made that uses this kind of tie closure or ribbon closure. So here I have this excess. I'm just going to cut off that excess and fold it in, because I figured that would be the easiest way and it will kind of help it to stick. That's a terrible cut, but it's okay because it's on the inside and you won't see it anyway. It's pretty bad. Okay, this one did give me a little bit of trouble because I cut it too short, but it all worked out in the end. Just put a little paper clip on there, and I did take it off, but it worked really well for the time being. So I'm actually, while recording this video, I'm making the journal at the friend's house whom I'm going to give the journal to. So that's another reason why I chose not to do, not to kind of talk through. But it was still a surprise. So this is the completed journal all wrapped up with a cute little ribbon tie. So I really liked the way that that came out. And she was very happy with it too. Even though she kind of saw me go through and make a lot of it, she was still really kind of surprised. So I'm glad that she liked it. So let's actually flip through the journal. I have those cards, the sisterhood cards in there. You can still see the flower petals on some of the pages, which I was really happy about. Here's one of the journals, or the envelopes that we made together. It looks very nice in there. This is, yeah, that's one of my pockets. So it does still look a little bit plain, but again, I wanted to leave plenty of it for her to fill in on her own, to write in, to put cards in. Maybe this is just plain for me. A lot of stuff in them because they're mine and I can decorate all of it. So still gluing on a few more scraps. I liked the way that these turned out, though. I did this with a few of the cards because they were slightly too long. So I just cut off the smallest sliver and used it as an outline on many other pages, and I think it looked really nice and added just a little bit to the journal. Really simple idea. Cute. And here is my tie in the middle. You can also, something that I've seen is you can fold up an envelope into the middle of the book. So say you sew it up and then close and glue the envelope. So kind of make an envelope in the middle of the book. Sew and glue it up and you can't see the string at all, which is a good idea. But I actually like seeing the string. So I liked the way that that came out, where you can see the flowers behind all three of those, or two or three pages. And look how many pockets you have all in one section. Then this is my envelope. I really should have closed the cover, but still, it's okay. And that is our journal. So really loved the way it came out. Thank you guys for watching all the way through this video and all the way through the series. If you did, I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe.